September 26, 2012. A Wednesday morning in the affluent, historic neighborhood of Los Feliz, Los Angeles. The kind of place where old Hollywood money meets new Hollywood dreams. But on this morning, the dream shattered into a nightmare. Neighbors near a sprawling estate known as the Writer's Villa heard the most terrifying sounds imaginable. A woman screaming for her life, followed by the shattering of glass and guttural, inhuman howling. When police arrived, they found a chaotic, bloody scene. Inside the villa lay the body of an 81-year-old woman, brutally beaten. Outside, in the driveway, lay the body of a young man. He had fallen or jumped from the roof. The world was shocked to realize they knew the man in the driveway. He was Kip Half-Sack Epps from the hit show Sons of Anarchy. He was the charming guy from the OC. He was the former flame of pop superstar Katy Perry. His name was Johnny Lewis, and for years the media painted his final act as the predictable end of another drug-addled Hollywood casualty. But what if that wasn't the whole truth? What if the monster that took over Johnny Lewis wasn't drugs, but an invisible injury that no one treated until it was too late? Today, we are looking at the tragic rise, the terrifying fall, and the unanswered questions surrounding Johnny Lewis. If you watched TV in the mid-2000s, you knew Johnny Lewis. He wasn't a leading man superstar like Brad Pitt, but he was that guy, the reliable, charismatic character actor who seemed to be everywhere. Born into a Scientologist family in Los Angeles, Johnny started acting in his teens. He had a specific energy, lanky, a little goofy, but undeniably charming. He was the quintessential friend zone guy you secretly rooted for. He landed recurring roles on massive hits like The OC and Drake and Josh. By 2005, he was dating an up-and-coming singer named Katy Perry. They were a golden couple of the LA indie scene before she exploded into global superstardom. Even after they split, she would later call him the one who got away. But his career-defining role came in 2008 with FX's gritty biker drama Sons of Anarchy. Johnny played Kip Half-Sack Epps. He was a prospect, a whipping boy for the older bikers. He was naive, eager to please, and audiences loved him because he brought heart to a brutal world. For 2 seasons, Johnny Lewis was riding high. He was a working actor on a hit show. By all accounts from castmates, he was a sweet, somewhat intense, but deeply committed guy. And then, abruptly, he asked to be written off the show. He didn't like the excessive violence. It's a tragic irony considering what was to come. He wanted out of the darkness, but the darkness was already coming for him. If you are looking for the exact moment Johnny Lewis's life fractured, you have to look at October 2011. Johnny was a skilled motorcyclist, but one night he was involved in a high-speed crash. Details are a bit hazy, but we know the impact was devastating. He survived, but those closest to him say the Johnny who woke up after that crash was not the Johnny who had fallen before it. His father, Michael Lewis, later told reporters that he begged his son to get a complete neurological workup, an MRI, anything to check his brain. Johnny refused. Most immediately, the behavioral shift began. It wasn't a slow burn, it was a cliff dive. Friends reported that he became illogical. His conversations would loop. He developed a strange manic intensity. The sweet, thoughtful guy was replaced by someone paranoid and prone to sudden, bizarre outbursts. The Hollywood offer stopped coming. He was losing his grip on reality. And instead of medical help, he started spiraling into the legal system. The year 2012 was a catastrophe for Johnny Lewis. In January, he was arrested for attacking 2 men with a glass bottle. There was no clear provocation, it was just sudden violence. 6 weeks later, he was arrested again. He had broken into a woman's house through a window. He didn't steal anything.
When police arrived, they found him just sitting on a bed, claiming he was looking for a friend. It wasn't the behavior of a hardened criminal. It was the behavior of someone in a state of psychosis. His family tried desperately to intervene. His father later stated he tried to get Johnny involuntary psychiatric holds, what's known as a 5150, but because Johnny could hold it together just long enough to talk to the evaluating officers, he was repeatedly released. Instead of a hospital, Johnny went to jail. He spent the summer of 2012 incarcerated for assault and burglary charges. During his time inside, his mental state reportedly deteriorated even further. He was a ticking bomb in a cage. On September 21, 2012, Johnny Lewis was released from jail. The system spat him back out onto the streets of Los Angeles with no treatment plan and a fractured mind. He had 5 days left to live. With nowhere else to go, Johnny reached out to an old friend. Catherine Davis was an 81-year-old patron of the arts. She owned a beautiful, historic property in Los Feliz known as the Writer's Villa. She often rented rooms to creative types, writers, artists, actors who needed a quiet place to work. She had known Johnny for years. Despite his recent troubles, she opened her door to him. She gave him a room. We will never know exactly what triggered the events of the morning of September 26th. Around 10 a.m., chaos erupted. Neighbors heard Catherine screaming. Then they saw Johnny. Witnesses reported seeing Johnny Lewis hop the fence into a neighboring yard. He was shirtless, his eyes wild. He picked up a piece of wood and attacked the painter working next door, and then the homeowner. He was displaying what witnesses called superhuman strength, fighting off 2 men before retreating back to the villa. Police were called to a screaming woman and assault in progress. When officers breached the main house, they found a scene of utter brutality. Catherine Davis had been beaten and strangled to death. Her beloved cat had also been killed in the rampage. The violence was personal, frenzied, and complete. But the assailant wasn't inside. Johnny's body was found on the driveway below. Based on the injuries, investigators determined he had fallen from the second-story terrace or the roof. Whether he jumped in a moment of final clarity or fell while trying to flee in a manic state remains unknown. Johnny Lewis was dead at age 28. In the immediate aftermath, the media narrative was set in stone. Headlines screamed about a Sons of Anarchy star on bath salts. The term superhuman strength used by witnesses convinced the public that Johnny was high on PCP, meth, or some new synthetic drug that induced cannibalistic rage. It fit the Hollywood cliché. But weeks later, the autopsy results came back, and they shocked everyone. Johnny Lewis's toxicology report was clean. There was no cocaine, no meth, no PCP, no alcohol, no bath salts. He committed those horrific acts completely sober. This changed everything. If it wasn't drugs, what was it? This is where the story stops being just a true crime tale and becomes a medical tragedy. Many experts looking at the sudden personality shift following his 2011 motorcycle crash point to a severe, untreated traumatic brain injury. The symptoms Johnny displayed in his final year, aggression, impulse control problems, paranoia, confusion, are textbook markers of frontal lobe damage or even early onset CTE, the same brain disease found in many NFL players who become violent. His brain was fundamentally broken by that impact. Catherine Davis lost her life in a senseless, brutal act. Nothing excuses what Johnny Lewis did to her. But the story of Johnny Lewis is a stark reminder of how quickly a promising life can derail. It's a story about the devastating potential of head trauma and a mental health system that failed to catch a man visibly spiraling into madness before he took an innocent life and his own. He wasn't a villain twirling his mustache. He was a talented young man whose mind betrayed him, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. What do you think? Was this inevitable, or could Johnny have been saved with the right medical intervention after his crash? Let me know down in the comments. If you found this deep dive compelling, please hit that like button and subscribe for more shadowed stories from Hollywood and beyond. Thanks for watching.